Oh, nice. And we're live.
Cheers! And
What's
we
up?
are live. Hello, hello. What's
So,
up?
hello
Good sir.
everyone.
Good to see
Welcome
you.
to La Check-in. Yeah, the Le is the French component of the show. Uh, as last time, basically it's because of you. Everybody was like, "Hey, can we have CC back on the show?" And we're like, "No, absolutely not. It's
I
not
think the only
allowed."
one who said that was Simran, but okay.
Oh yeah, yeah,
Hey,
yeah. Blame it
well,
on Simran.
yeah, exactly. No, no,
So,
no. It was
for those who are
Imran,
joining
it was
us.
Elias. It was half the world, half the viewers. 2,000 people. 1,000 said that they wanted you. So it's not
So
bad.
for those who are joining us, right now we're in the lobby. The show is about to start in 5 minutes, essentially. So it's just to warm up the room, just see how's everybody doing. Have our viewers, joining in. Don't forget to share. Now is a good time. So we have a nice schedule where we're gonna talk about what happened last week, what's gonna happen this week, and we have Jean-Philippe from Santec at the end. We'll tell you more. Just wait, be patient. In 5 minutes, we'll tell you more. But hey, how was your week, folks?
Swell.
Swell.
Ladies first, I
Uh,
guess.
swell. I love my cat. That's it. That's been my week.
Where is he? I
Yeah.
love that. Where is he?
Come here, Kaito. Oh,
Yeah,
I've
I
already been
like how
told.
Cici has a very Instagrammable apartment and even a cat, because a
Yeah,
cat is like
exactly.
the next
Hello,
level
hello,
Instagram.
hello.
Mm,
Yeah,
Be.
exactly. I think you should replace me by the cat, and then
Yeah,
Yeah.
like the views will go through the roof. I don't know about
actually,
like
yeah.
probably even engagement, and then
Yeah.
you put the pose of the cat on the keyboard, and then like you have a whole new show here. But
Yeah. We're putting too much effort
they,
in this show. We just have to put cats. So, and Ines, how was your week?
well, I'm in beautiful British Columbia, so this is Squamish where we are. This is the chance to be in remote work. So thank you, COVID, in a way. You know how like we always say that any challenge is an opportunity. So I'm lucky enough to be able to work mainly remote, and because of our work with Cooperaton, with Desjardins Open Innovation, with Montreal NewTech, and with the startups we coach, most of the things can be done remotely. And we're seizing the COVID situation to actually see how we can leverage it. And we'll talk about the creative collisions afterwards. But I'm lucky I can be here, and I'm meeting with the digital supercluster early next week. So physically, first meeting physical, but and Innovate BC as well. By the way, Alejandro, I'm sorry I haven't replied. I started replying at 6 a.m. this morning because I have to work also on Montreal time, but
Are
wasn't
you
able to
using a
finish
live
it.
platform to kind of do business last minute?
He
Yes.
totally is.
You'll hear him doing like networking in the middle of a show. It's just like that. By the way, I'm curious for those who are listening. So some of us are from home, some of us are traveling, some of us are in between. Just share where you are at. We're kind of curious because yes, you're right. It's an opportunity to be a bit more mobile, and I think
Yeah,
it's good for the creativity too to change. Change your landscape, change the city you're in, if you can afford it, if it's an option. Let's face it, it's not for everyone, but I think it
absolutely.
does a bit of it has a positive effect on creativity. Elias, sorry, Elias, we know. Cici, do you plan to kind of travel a bit, or school takes most of your time?
For me, my mom's like, please don't come. You're in the hotspot of the COVID-19. Do not come home. But other than that, I
Your
don't know.
mother probably loves you very much. That's
Probably. Who knows?
yeah.
If going to Parc Jean-Mance counts as traveling, then I plan to do that this afternoon.
Yeah, I plan to go to Mont Royal actually. So I've been out of Montreal for most of the show actually, and now I'm back for like a week, and I miss my Mont Royal, my little. Okay, so I was close to like huge parks and everywhere next to Shawinigan, but I miss the little spirit of Mont Royal, and get some food around and just enjoying the sun. So that's
I
my
see
plan for Friday
your
after work.
background has changed.
Yeah, there's an increase of budget of $4 that I bought us a green
Yeah.
screen. $4.
Oh,
Well,
really nice.
it works really well. I don't know
Actually,
why people think
really.
it's so difficult. You just have to. I'll turn off the green screen. You'll see. It's just this. It's not any stretch
That
of
works
high
really
tech.
well. That
You
works
know.
well.
It
But in
works.
fact,
It works.
what really interesting, and speaking of Creative Collision, did you see like the new Microsoft setup for like virtual conferences?
Which
Like
one?
they use like the
The
Kinect,
HoloLens?
like they use no, they use like the Kinect
Oh
stuff,
yeah, yeah,
and then like green screens, and then you are in the middle, and the show is literally like they rebuild kind of like a 3D
yeah.
show around you. So like when you film it, it's literally like it's crazy. I'll share it with you. It's really impressive. So maybe if we have more budget or like some partnership with Microsoft, hello Microsoft, can you send us
Networking
something here?
live.
It's
We're
actually
going to do
funny.
an amazing show.
So I have an Oculus Quest that I bought because I've been following VR for the longest time, and that was like the piece of tech. I was like, okay, now it can have my money. And there was like a chat rooms, like this like old 3D chat rooms that for the older folks who
Yeah,
used to remember, they do the same thing in VR. And I'm like, it's gonna be a bunch of kids playing around. I'm just gonna test it for 15 minutes. 1 hour later, I was still, socializing, and I'm not the most social person. But VR, it's kind of nice because when you move your hands, it tracks. So you have that like very nice discussion where it's not just like a little, portrait view. I think VR, and especially augmented reality, has so much potential for interviews, presential and remote. It's really, really cool.
like the funny part. Well, not the funny part, but the interesting part here is uh, like we were talking with the CTO of the digital supercluster here in BC, and one of their programs, like they have a variety of programs, and one of their programs is around digital twins. Hello, kitty cat. I
I
still
can't hear
prefer
you.
Seasy, but yeah, it's fine. But
Oh, I prefer kind
so one of their program is around. Hey, hello, Simran. Elias and the cat. Well, I guess that would be a great show. So they have a digital twin program, and the digital twin program actually takes advantage for moving like from reality to well, not VR, but like to digitalize the real world. It works in manufacturing. It works in healthcare a
Oh,
lot. And actually, one of the points here is basically VR and AR are just B2B stuff where it's going to
yeah, yeah.
explode, no, to
You
skyrocket
know
in a
what?
way.
I'll stop you there. Let's see. I'm pretty sure around like September, those technologies you will hear a lot of very nice announcements. You know, so let's do a show about VR because it's picking up and people are kind of more receptive about that. Hey, we have to start the show. The lobby is usually a quick 5 minutes, and we're trying to stay on the schedule. So, are you everybody ready? Sissy, is your cat ready?
always ready.
Cool.
Oh,
So
Are
started
you
now.
five,
ready?
He's still
I'm
in
out.
five.
frame.
Put me out.
No. You're part for the.
Kick me out.
Then we'll do the
Kick
highlight.
me out.
Five,
Out.
4, 3, 2, 1. Hi, welcome to Let's Check In, and that was Cece's cat. He's part of the show. He's officially the mascot. We own him. You should have read your contract, Cece. So essentially, Let's Check In is a show about tech in Montreal's ecosystem, and because of everything that's going on right now, a bit outside Montreal, because the idea is to build links and connections. So we're joined by Elias today and by Cece. For those who are new to the show, we usually start with the highlights and then to kind of recap last week and next week news, and then we go into deep dive. We have Jean-Philippe from Soundtech who's gonna talk to us about a few things. Elias, so we'll see you just a bit later, right?
Yes. Kick me out.
Cool.
I'm out.
Okay, we'll kick you out. And Cece, so are you ready for the next week section?
All
This
right,
week's
let's
section, the
go.
highlights.
This
Cool.
week.
So the highlight is where we recap the events, the news, the announcements of this week. So Cece, what kind of got your attention there?
So starting off, we have the Women's Entrepreneurship Program by Montreal Inc. It's an initiative for women with the idea and looking to start their own business. Their goal is to inspire, motivate, and facilitate action by providing resources and tools. And this over here screen that Dennis has up is just like a feature of one of their classes that they had last week. So the program, basically, it's around 4 months. Sorry, there's cat hair everywhere. And it has no age limit, and it's open to any sector as long as the idea is, oh, there it comes, innovative and impactful. Currently, they're in their second season of the program. Unfortunately, their applications closed in April, but if this sounds like something that's interesting to you, you should keep your eye out for the next round of open applications. Oh,
Our audience with allergies is like reacting to this. This is actually a really nice program. So if I'm not mistaken, the good folks from URL are behind that with Le Wagon, and essentially the event we're talking about was just a one-timer that was kind of open to everyone, just for a workshop about how to do a website. But the whole thing is more of a program. I looked on the website; it's like very affordable to be a part of it.
I think something like $50 for the whole program.
And I think it runs just for a few weeks, but hey, $50 is not a lot for the kind of if you have just an idea at that stage and you're curious to know more, what are the tools that you need to kind of play with? That seems like a no-brainer for me. And what else? What else? So, speaking of tools, there's also Startup Radar was unveiled by actually last week by Little Startup Montreal, and there's been a talk, and I know because I've been talking with a lot of people. There's a lot of we featured some in the show. There's a lot of different tools and databases of resources, programs, who's doing what in the ecosystem, and there's not like 100% clear convergence because everybody have different focus. And Startup Radar is kind of one of those latest tools that has the advantage of being a bit more recent, so it can kind of clean a bit of the noise. So take a look in there. There's some very neat filters. Let's say I want to know a bunch of companies doing AI. I want to see who are the accelerators and all. We also have some tools in Montreal NewTech. Different players have their own tools. Currently, what we need is we need to have that information out there. If that can help you find some of those resources, get in touch. The ecosystem is really nice and very open. So if you see a company that is doing something similar to you or a competitor, honestly, don't be shy. Just get in touch with them. People are very helpful because everybody started somewhere, right? So that's for Startup Radar. And usually, as usual, don't forget, we only get to talk like maybe 2 or 3 of those news every time. If you want to get more of the news, just subscribe to the newsletter. We have Andy, a volunteer here, that creates a very nice newsletter. Actually, he's not a volunteer for the newsletter, but in general. And you will get more of the news, more of the announcement and all. And that's pretty much for this section. Let's go to the... I'll see if Dennis transitions to the next week. Thank you, Dennis. So next week is the section. I'm really firing fast this way. Okay, next week is the section where we present what you should put on your agenda, or kind of call to actions, or thing you should consider doing if that kind of appeals to you. So what are you gonna work on, CC, next week?
I think it's funny that we call it next week, because both of these things are not next week, but they are in the near future. So coming up, since everything's like online now, I find it pretty awesome how you can basically go to any event because they're virtual, right? So the 2 that I kind of came into my radar are first, the 2020 Canadian Export Challenge, which is also called the CXC. It's hosted by Startup Canada, and usually it's a series of one-day global accelerators hosted across Canada. But this year it's all virtual. It's basically geared towards startups and scale-ups thinking about or working on exporting their products or services. However, this year, they're moving towards a series of digital events, which is actually powered by Google. The applications are open all the way until September 9th, and the event is happening mid-September. So you should check it out if you're interested in a super exciting day of workshops, panels, and keynotes from industry experts, as well as the chance to win either 2.5K or 5K in a pitch competition, depending on whether you're a startup or a scale-up. And the winners from each region will move on to the grand finale in October, where they'll compete for a chance to win up to 25K in cash or 100K in support. There goes your
So,
$4 investment.
no budget. I knew those. I knew those
Oh,
gums were a bit old. I'll fix it maybe. So
too good to be
essentially,
true.
the reason why we talked about this one right now was because you have to apply, so they will ask you a bit of information. But it's a very nice event, and those kind of events are not always accessible, but because they're digital now, if you have a startup or you're interested in that space, take a look. It doesn't take that much time to fill up, but it's, as you said, a very nice opportunity. And there's also, so we're trying to cover a bit more of the deep tech and the academic, and we found a very interesting piece called neuroprosthetics. What is that?
Neuroprosthetics. It's a 4-day virtual summer school happening from July 20th to 23rd. From morning to afternoon, you can listen in on presentations and discussions from researchers, professionals, and trainees on everything and anything in the intersection of neuroscience, engineering, AI, and medicine. And it's all for free. So that's really, really exciting since it's stuff that I'm into. If you want to know more about the specific events and structure of the program, you should head over to their website, which Dennis just brought down as I pointed to it. And if I were you, I wouldn't want to miss this event. And since I'm not you, I already registered for it, so I won't. If
Damn, you
you'd
don't
like
leave
to,
us much choice, do you?
if you'd like to submit an abstract, also if you're a researcher, the deadline is July 1st. So I think that's about 4 days. You still have your time to get your research out there.
And I want to highlight like those events are very interesting for research so that you'll when you read the description, but they also kind of open the space for everybody who's interested in that. And if your company is related to that field, I think it's always a good challenge if you don't have academics working for you with like MeetAct and such to kind of attend some of those events. They have ideas that will challenge you. They will talk about stuff you have no idea what this is, and that's a good thing because that means you should probably stay up to date on a few of those topics. By the way, we talked about doing on in July a whole show about academia and research. Is that still on?
I believe it is still on. Next Friday, July 3rd, we're going to be talking about COVID-19 research specifically, but more sort of like a dive into the science and like the research side of the Montreal ecosystem. So if that's something you're into, come back for more cat.
For more cat action. So see what I did? I just introduced for the next week actually something we'll
So
have
smooth. So
coming up
smooth.
smooth. And last thing in the next section, we have appel le projet in English is project proposal. We have a project proposal that's made by the name. Maison du Développement Durable, true, they're actually not that far from here. And that's cool. We kind of like the whole, all the businesses and startups and ideas related to sustainable development and environment and green. We've been featuring some of the green tech kind of news before. And that's essentially a project proposal from Maison du Développement Durable. So the deadline is coming up. So it's, again, the 3rd of August, so you have a bit of time, but we're talking about it now because you need to get started. For those projects, you don't just start them. You don't just. It's not like you click attend on an event. You need a bit of preparation, but there is money invested in general in the ecosystem, and some of it goes to green tech and those sustainable initiatives, and I think that's amazing and fantastic. So if you are a startup or people that are within science, and it can be also like smart cities and mobility within cities. It can be, of course, in construction, culture, agriculture, climate change, things like that. This is a fantastic way of pushing your idea forward. That's it for the next section. And of course, if you want to get all the links, after the show, we always update the show notes. And the show notes is essentially everything we talked about with a nice little clickable link so you can get more of that information. So that's it for me and Seasy, or most of it. We're going to pass the mic to Elias. Elias, are you online? Hey, Elias.
Am I still here? Hello,
You're still here. Yeah, you wanted to like your little space. I know you're enjoying you said Vancouver,
Well,
right?
like I have a nice view here, so I was like maybe going for a quick run or having my coffee here with a nice view.
Flex.
So
Flexing.
what I
Looking to
can tell
flex.
you, Cici, that's the whole point of having Cici here is so that I can drink my coffee with like a nice view. So
just to kind
that's
of
the
compete
reality.
on the. Okay, I'll add some
Sounds
plants in my background
I
too.
don't
Okay,
have a cat.
so
I don't have a cat though, so I'm sorry. I cannot compete with Cici. Cici, like she's smarter and have a cat. Like how can how do you want me to compete? And more charming, obviously. Let's be honest.
puppy.
Only
So like
one
it's
of
three
those
for one.
I
is
think
true.
I think we can put a puppy on the budget. If it works. So essentially, let's go to the deep dive section.
Yeah,
And the deep
yeah,
dive for those who are fairly new to the show is essentially where we take one of those news announcement and such, and we take a bit more time to meet the people that are
yeah.
behind it. And this time we have Jean-Philippe. Cici will talk to you right after. And Jean-Philippe, how are you doing?
Hey, everybody, how you doing?
So I know Elias has a bunch of questions, so Elias, I'll leave you the mic. But I'm watching you. You have
Yeah,
five. I'm watching you, Elias. You have 5 minutes.
Yeah, I know. Actually, you know what, Jean-Philippe? I'll be respectful of your time, so I'm actually putting a timer. We'll see if it works.
that's perfect.
I'm from Morocco
Perfect.
originally, so like time management and Moroccan are not necessarily a love relationship,
It's
but
fine.
we adapt very well as our
You have
startup
four minutes,
ecosystem.
30 seconds.
Yeah, I know. Thank you very much, time manager. So anyway, Jean-Philippe, thanks so much for being with us, and thanks a lot for the work that you do in our ecosystem. We talk a lot about collaboration, but the most important part is not just talking; it's about through action. It's not always easy; it comes with its challenges. But well, we love Soundtech. You know it. We've been working with Soundtech for a while, uh, and You've been working with industries for a while as well, and you launched recently kind of like a more not branding but a more like crystallizing your work around something called the collision lab. Can you tell
Correct.
us a bit more about what is the collision lab, because it's
Yeah,
beautiful background there. I think it really shows what it is, but tell us a bit more about it.
yeah, and absolutely. So at Centex, just probably 2 years, 2 years now. Actually, so I joined in like to be the corporate innovation manager, really to bring the collision lab in itself. Now we're putting a branding to it, so it's really we have corporate members of the Port of Montreal, Thales Group, Siemens, Jalon Montréal, and core projects. And new comings actually probably September we're gonna announce a new one. So really, it's really to help them consume an innovation ecosystem. So really to work very closely with the Montreal NewTech and ecosystem to offer a whole bunch of different services, but really to help them because they're new into this. They don't know what they're getting into. So it's really we play a bit the middleman and women to really bring that and make sure they have success in their innovation and they have fun doing it. So that's really what it's all about.
Absolutely, and I love how you said middleman and middlewoman. So thank you very much for that.
Exactly.
But it's true that we need these kind of intermediaries that understand both words and can be both translator as well as, like I like to say it, but people don't like it, but like a lubricant in the relationship, so that like the relationship actually works without friction. Because it's really important to accelerate that, especially for the startups where they need to move fast because there is no status quo for a startup. Either you move forward or you move backward. There is no
Exactly.
status quo. So
100%.
so tell us, I know you have a deadline coming up, so tell us a bit more about this deadline.
Yeah, and absolutely. So one of the initiatives really to help out again, like to accelerate those innovations. So we have also like a sort of call we call it call for startups because we're looking for your technology. So that's really what it is. So Thales Group is launched like that 2 weeks ago. So with Bonjour Startup Montréal has been publishing. So together we're working together so Thales has 3 challenges. So Monday, June 29th at 11:59 p.m. We're closing the deadline. So as you can see, so we have 3 challenges. So it's really all the technologies around how to relaunch those three. So it's either the airport. So if your technology can help reintegrate with all the situation with the COVID and scanning for that, airports,
Absolutely.
airplanes, and also urban transportation. So you just have to click on those boxes. You'll see a simple form is very quick to do. And after personally, exactly as you can see, so personally, I'll go through it with my colleague, and after we'll talk with the partners, really for you guys to really work with Thales Group to gain a new clients. Basically, that's what it is.
Absolutely. And this is key, and this goes back to like the whole point of having this kind of organization to tell Soundtech and we're very happy like to collaborate and help you get the word out, because especially in this time and day, COVID unfortunately will shrink some companies, will kill some companies, but also gives an amazing opportunity for startups, especially in the agility and flexibility and technology space, where they can bring new solutions to this new world. And thank you very much for that. As you can see, like AI, IoT, and technology in general can be key for solving this challenge of experience and security that is in a post-COVID world. Thanks to Thales, Aéroport de Montréal, and all the other partners of Samtech. So very, very glad to see that. And if you're a startup watching this, or you know a startup watching this, please feel free to send a message to Samtech on their Facebook page, on their web page. Ask questions. One of the key aspects that we see from startups is that they hesitate. So don't hesitate, ask questions. Speaking of collaboration, we have an event. So speaking of collaboration and these kind of like collisions, we have this event coming up together with Samtech, NexGen, Cooperaton, and many other players. Can you tell us a bit more about the next creative collision that we are organizing, and especially on the section that you have with NexGen and others?
Yeah, no, absolutely. So it's gonna be actually very interesting. Very looking forward to it. So it's July 8th, if I'm not mistaken. So it's really us. We're gonna be. So I'll be moderating a breakout room more towards like manufacturing in its really broad sense. So like even let's put it manufacturing or advanced manufacturing very broadly. NexGen's gonna be there. Very nice project that may come up, so you should be stay tuned, because it's and actually we're looking for others. So really to look for you guys, look for your technologies, to be involved, and again it's to give you the best of chances to get that. So it's very stay tuned to Montreal NewTech with that, and also our social media, because we're looking for your technologies, and you're going to see the projects. We're going to go. Some are pretty big, so it's very interesting as a smaller company. Stay tuned. It's it's gonna be very fun. It's gonna be very fun.
Absolutely. And what is really interesting here, and like many don't know, and that's why one of the reasons why we came up with this and organizing it, because we need to propel these opportunities for the startup ecosystem, as well as like for SMBs and established companies to come to those tables. And it's not just a breakout room. I know you said that, and it's a word that goes into the field in general. But really, we're designing it in such a way that it becomes a work table. And I would just like to highlight the fact that we're going to bring NexGen, that is a supercluster. They received more than $200 million for collaborative innovation. We have Samtech as well. We have established companies that are going to be there, 3 startups that are going to pitch ideas, as well as researchers. And this work will lead to more meaningful collaboration. So the call to action here, because we always promote for startups that you need a call to action.
So where
if
people
you're a startup, so give me 1 second, I'm finishing. When he appeared, he's like, Elias, shut up. But jokes aside, I think it's really important that we are taking advantage of the situation with COVID to design things that are coast to coast to coast. So today I'm in British Columbia, and we're meeting with some organization, but like it's really for all Canadian startups, entrepreneurs, researchers, as well as established companies to join this work table on advanced manufacturing and Industry 4.0. We have also on energy and climate change, on culture, entertainment, and tourism, and finally on life science and healthcare. Thanks for all the partners who are doing that. So if you're interested in those 4 fields, either you're established or you're innovative there, or you're a researcher or a student, join those tables, tune in on July 8th. It's a whole afternoon of conference. Content will be key, networking as well, and hopefully it will create opportunities for everyone involved.
Jean-Philippe, thanks for your time. I know we took you like 65 seconds more than we said. Yeah, man.
Yeah, but thanks a lot, guys. And I will see you again on July 8th.
We'll see you at the event, so that's for sure.
Exactly. Thanks. So, hey, thanks a lot, guys. Have a good one.
You too.
Thank you very much. Have a great day. Merci.
Yeah, sorry, he had a time constraint, and we don't want him to be late for the meeting. So that's essentially our show. And let me see if Alejandro is not live anymore. Seasy, where's Seasy? Seasy, come back. She's like, no, I'm doing 2 things. So sorry, I cut you a bit out. Is there anything else you wanted to add, Elias?
I would just say, this is the whole experiment. I think fundamentally, we as a society, we are showing our resilience. we as a startup ecosystem were showing our agility and ability not only to adapt to this new reality, but to embrace it and empower our innovation and economy through it. And when I see people like Jean-Philippe, the whole like Richard Chénier, the whole anyway, Julian, Luc, and all the teams behind Santec, who really always answer yes whenever there is an opportunity that arises to say, you know what, let's get shit done. Let's stop talking and let's actually bring the right player around the table so that we can work together and not just talk about it. Because yes, we are a show right now and like it's online and we have people talking, etc. And hopefully like few people will like ask questions. Feel free to reach out to us or comment in the section if you have questions of what's coming up. But what we're working on is really developing a recipe where we can create a pipeline. So from the inspiration, such as in shows like today, newsletter, startup resources, and others that Andy is doing, as well as other players like Bonjour Startup, Montreal Inc.
Sure.
that Seasy talked about earlier, Startup Canada. By the way, like Santec won a prize yesterday, so thank you, Startup Canada, for highlighting
true. We
the
didn't
work
talk about
of our ecosystem. I forgot to talk about it, but like there was the Startup Canada award for the Quebec region, and other players who like create this momentum. There is Startup Fest that has July 15 coming up. The Startup Fest creates also opportunities around that and others. But from those opportunities that are arising, this information, etc., we really need to come together and work together. But to get to work together, we need to create trust. Create trust, create knowledge, and create networking opportunities that match the right people together. And that's what Creative Collision is all about. And it's not always easy to explain how we're creating stuff because like not everyone like envisions the way we do it. And I'm very bad at like designing stuff. Maybe we should hire a designer to do that. But basically it's like starting from the inspiration side that we open innovation with stuff that we do like today, our events in general, like Connecting Intelligence that we did last month, where we bring like players all around the world to share their knowledge and experiences. Create a beginning of networking. Creative Collision, on the other hand, is really about like starting to get shit done, connecting the right players together and sit down and discuss the actual solutions with the actual problems. So it's not just like large industry stuff. It's around challenges that we are sitting for an hour to discuss and present. So the startups will come and present, the researchers will come and present, and the industries are going to present their challenges. I just finished a conversation with Hydro-Quebec, for example, earlier with our friends of Cooperaton, and we are going to have like meaningful challenges that people can work on. It's not just like blah, blah. And afterwards, what the sprints that are coming up, opportunities such as Cooperaton and others, and the sprints that we're working on with 2 Degrés, for example, in the case of climate change, but with other players as well, are going to be about maintaining the momentum and helping à travers l'accompagnement, like with Stantec and others, to get the startups to work with those companies or large organizations and maintain the momentum, giving them the knowledge, the connections to move the projects forward. So it's really a 3-step process. We're trying to build this recipe. We're not 100% sure it will work, but we have to try because we are meeting kind of like this historical moment that COVID brought us to actually see if with technology we can get shit done and advance our economy and society.
It's actually a nice kind of round up, and it's one of the purpose of this show because what we kind of saw was there's a lot of excitement and confusion because there's so many initiatives right and left. And to be clear, we need those initiatives, but it's not always clear. I don't know, Seasy, what was your experience when you kind of got into the entrepreneurship? Were you kind of overwhelmed by everything going on?
I definitely wish there was like a Startup World 101 or something like that.
You didn't attend the class? But we faxed you the manual. No. But essentially, that's exactly the purpose. Saying like, can we make sense of those and help people, no matter where they are, to go to the next step? And that step might change over time, right? So thanks, Elias, for that kind of very nice recap. And also, we're pushing some events. We're pushing some events from our partners. We're pushing some events from people that even don't know us, just because overall the goal is to say, you have ideas or you want to help and you want to be part of that. What's the next step, and how
Exactly.
can you go there? So that's it. Go ahead. Yes.
Yeah, but truth being said, and sorry, like I will annoy you with that, but like I don't like the word events because there are events. No, because there are events. Like, of course there are events, but it's the same way like there are shows, like what we're doing today. But there are shows like you can go on a stage and like listen to someone. There are events. What we try to do is create coherence in our ecosystem, is resurface what is relevant and doing curation and make sure that what is relevant for people is showcased. But it's also about designing and creating, manufacturing serendipity by design, getting shit done by design, and not leaving that to the chance. Because there is a chance. And as Seasy said when she arrived, and even like we have to be honest with ourselves. When Seasy joined Montreal NewTech about a year ago, it was confusing for her because we do a lot of things. It's not always clear what is the coherence around that. We're trying to bring this coherence to the game. And what I do believe, though, is that the more people understand that we're building this by design and we're working on developing this recipe, the better we will be. Now, that being said, and thank you, Seasy, by the way, for doing that, is we need to, like for a startup B2B sales pipeline, like you need your top of the funnel. At the middle, it's conversion and the torque of what you're developing. So, and hats off to Stay 22. They have an amazing sales team and they're pivoting around that. But the torque is key. And like the whole experience for Stay 22 over the last 4 years was how do you increase your conversion rate and the torque. But now you have to also increase and make the top of the funnel more relevant. And Seasy is doing that for the students ecosystem with Simran. And we will have an edition just for students because, as she said, we need to get the right students to know about those opportunities, get them in the funnel, and then get them into the pipeline. And what it will be key à la rentrée is the work that Simran and Seasy are going to do to make sure that there is coherence, synergies, and synchronicity between the different players in the university sphere, as well as with Montreal International, hopefully, to actually get this talent, to be aware of the entrepreneurship opportunities and startup jobs, because there are. Still today, a lot of students are studying to work for the large companies. Suntech has pivoted in 2016 to lead to entrepreneurship. We're seeing more and more startups that are in this space that have funds. Just the last week alone, we had like 4 or 5 announcements of more than $5 to $10 million raises of startups that are engineering driven, tech driven, that need talent. And today, these kind of like opportunities are still not clear for the students that are there. They're still looking for a job. COVID brought us like issues, but we need to resurface those opportunities and match make them with the right people and take advantage of events or like conferences such as Creative Collision to do this matchmaking and resurface the opportunities to the right people.
So speaking of which, Seasy, do you want to close the show with kind of teasing us with what's the next show will be about?
The next show or the next show?
Next.
Well, the Academia edition is on the 3rd of July, so right? Did the date change?
Like,
still 3rd of July?
3rd of July, yes, 3rd of July, next week on Friday. Pardon?
No, I said ça va vite, which means in French like time flies. It's already Canada Day.
So what it's gonna be about?
Well, I guess you'll just have to tune in to find out.
That's a lazy way of getting away with stuff. No, you've been working. So what are kind of why people should tune in besides the cat?
That is the number one reason. But the number two reason is if you want to sort of see what research is going on in Montreal, especially around like COVID-19 solutions, what sort of opportunities there are for researchers, like students, student researchers, all those sort of like the things that are less talked about, but still equally important in the ecosystem, then I think next edition will be super interesting to you.
Absolutely. And the work we did with Health Innovation Initiative, etc., they do great of getting the researchers out there. So thanks, Seasy, for doing what you're doing here, and hopefully, I can't wait to tune into this show next week.
Cool. So we'll be there. Seasy, thanks for your time. I'm gonna go and fix my green screen that seems to die on me because the heat here melts things. So that's it for a show. So don't forget to share if you've been watching, and I see the number. I've seen people watching. If you want to do a very huge favor, it's super simple. Just share the show, or just write a comment. It actually sometimes it means even more, but share is easy. But just engage essentially, because our goal is to kind of curate and adapt the content based on your needs. So if you speak early, we'll make a show just for you, just because you kind of write the comments. So that's it for us. Thanks for tuning in, and Elias, enjoy. When are you back in Montreal, you creator?
Je serai de retour le 5 juillet. Mais en attendant, like I'm working on Montreal's time, so like from 6 a.m. to 10 p.m.
Okay,
Actually,
perfect.
that creates like double time zones because I start at 6, so that's like or 5:30 to be on Montreal time, but I finish late because I'm on BC time. So anyway, but
Perfect.
it's a pleasure. I feel grateful and very lucky to be here. So thank you very much for having us again, Seasy and Valentin, for the show this week.
Perfect.
Says it
See
like
ya,
he's not a
and
host.
see you next week. Ciao, ciao.
Bye bye. Have a beautiful weekend and happy Canada Day.
Oh, true, true, true.
It's not Canada Day yet.